You will be mine, it's a matter of time. You will be mine, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. Lying in my bed, the things you said.
Well, guess what? I am going the long way to work this morning. In fact, I don't even need to ride in to the office today. I've got most of my meetings, well, all my meetings are video conferences. And in fact, I've got a meeting later on in the day in another part of town, which requires me to wear a suit and drive a car. But I'm on the bike and I'm riding the long way to work on a day that I don't even need to ride. In fact, riding today is a poor choice. Logistically, it is going to stuff me right up and create any number of challenges that I'm sure I'll get grumpy about later in the day. So why am I doing that? And any motorcyclist knows that logistics management is a part of motorcycling and can be quite painful. So why am I inflicting this pain on myself? Well, quite simply, I just can't get enough of this bike, and in particular this engine. I've been thinking a lot about it. V4, the formula. This is the best engine of them all. This is the best engine I have ever experienced in my riding life. It is better than the V4 2.0 engine. I have had this out now all weekend and yesterday, and of course the test ride a few weekends ago. And the standout feature, it's just flexible. It's got low down, it's got mid-range, and it's got high end. It has got everything covered. It really is the ultimate engine. So I go back to my BMW V210, Super Duke V Ducati videos. This is the best engine by a country mile. It is so good. It is so good. Combined with the electronics, the chassis, the suspension, the brakes, man, this is mounting a compelling challenge to all comers. But it really is. The V4, they've nailed this, and this is like still reasonably early days for this engine's life cycle. So it's going to get better. It's going to get better and better. I'm going to brand tune this, which will make it better as well, make it smoother. Not that actually it needs it, it's so good. But you know, this V4, I declare the best engine. I knew the multi-strata version of this was what was sucking me into the multi-strata. As you know, I love that bike. But this is better. I thought, and in my early test ride I made the comment I'd like the multi-strata V4 for city riding and the Streetfighter for outside of that. I'm revising that statement. As I'm getting to know this, I'm getting to understand how to ride it. It's effortless, and you can just stay in second or third gear and just cruise, and even at low speeds, as long as you know what you're doing in terms of clutch control, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's the right balance between you know, being vibey and too smooth, and being sort of soulless. It's just So I'm on this bike today, and I really don't need to be, and in fact it's going to be a pain in the backside because the engine is so good, amongst other things. But man, I just sent a text this morning to Fraser's Motorcycles, and I said to the guy who sold me this bike, Abdul, shout out to Abdul, I said to him, just when Ducati release their next year models of the Streetfighter, just assume I'm a buyer, and put me down for it. Send me a text so I know, so I can, you know, put the current one on the market. Like it's oh man, it's good. And it doesn't overheat at the lights. They're brilliant. Oh, it's just, it really is. Like, you when you think about getting on the bike and you think about just riding, you just get this rush, this adrenaline. It's, oh God, I want to experience that again. It's that good, it really is. So, you know, they have taken it to next level. Now, you think about the BMW engine, you know, that's the shift cam S1000RR engine, which has been around for a while. It's obviously had some revisions. And that's a wonderful engine too, but in its stock form, it is still a bit dull compared to this, as you would expect it to be. Although, as the Yamaha MT-10 has shown, you can actually tune an inline-4 engine to deliver the same sort of thrills you get on a V4, and that's what they've done in the MT-10. I will get a ride of an MT-10. That and the Triumph are on my list. That engine, they seem to have, you know, poked all of the grunt into a narrower rev range quite nicely. So it can be done, but I think this is going to take some beating. This engine, this V4 Ducati engine, is the king and will take some beating. And if you go back to some of my earlier videos, particularly when I was getting to know the BMW M1000R, I did make some comments about the Panigale version of this V4. I made several comments about not liking it, and maybe I need to get back on a Panigale, a new one, and give it another go. But I didn't like the way my Panigale felt. It wasn't just the engine, it was a range of things, including the riding position, which for me was just too aggressive. But it was, it just off memory, it didn't have the thrills this has got. So I might need to revisit that at some point. And I did make comments that I didn't like this Ducati V4. Well, that's true, I don't like it. I love it in this bike. I love it. And there's a lot of factors that go into it, but oh man, the V4, it's the perfect balance. It takes the best of the twin engines and the best of the inline-4 engines, and it puts it into one package. And I know I'm in honeymoon phase, which is why I always sort of, you know, temper these remarks. But at the moment, I go into my garage, I've got the Multistrada V4S, the M1000R, and this, and I don't give the other two bikes a second's thought when I'm considering, you know, a road rider, a short road ride. I do not give them a second's thought. If that's still the case in a month's time when I'm in honeymoon, when I'm out of honeymoon's phase, well, we may have a new champion. And this is the thing about a lot of YouTube reviews of motorcycles. Unless you spend a bit of time with them, and ideally own and live with them, and back to back with the other bikes you're comparing against, it's actually a bit difficult because you can't quite remember exactly what the nuances of one bike are compared to another unless you ride them back to back long term. And that's what I'm doing here with these three bikes. Now, I know I whinged and moaned about the lack of a fuel gauge on the Ducati, but frankly, it can have no fuel gauge because the engine makes that compromise a no-brainer. Even cruise control. Now, of course, I'd like those features, both of them, but it's worth it. You can line all the boxes up on a spec sheet and you can say one bike's got them all, the other one doesn't. It is how a motorcycle makes you feel that defines the riding experience. And no motorcycle that I have ever owned has made me feel like this. The closest I've come is the Multistrada. And the fact that I couldn't make a decision between the Multistrada and the BMW 1000R, I couldn't separate them, is a ridiculous thing because the BMW surely is the better bike, but it's the engine. It's the engine. That's what it is. That's why that multi-strata does as well in that comparison as it does. Now that engine on steroids is in this, I know I gave the victory to the M1000R in my back-to-back test when I just had the bike, the Streetfighter, for a day or two. I'm going to redo it. I'm going to redo the test in a month or two, and I'm going to do it with a different format, and we will see. This is the Roseville Bridge in Sydney's north. I'm crossing currently as I take the long ride in. Oh, far out, man. 4th gear, uphill. Oh, you know, half throttle, not even. Oh, man. You cannot do that on an inline 4. You just cannot. It's the throttle spaces I've put on the bike, but this commuting performance of the Streetfighter is way better than the test ride bike. Way better. It must be the throttle spacer. Must be, because it is actually quite pleasant. I caned the Streetfighter for its commuting, and that's why I gave the chocolates to the BMW. But if this is anything to go by, even on the commuting front, the Streetfighter is going to fight back. Now, admittedly, we are in spring, very early spring, so it's still cool. So I'm not getting the massive heat issue yet. We will see as the weather heats up as to whether that changes. Yeah, if I was to describe the V4 in one word, it'd be bliss. Flexible bliss. Any scenario you are in on the road, the engine is up for. Any scenario. It's flexible bliss. Oh, the marsupial. Marsupial. And that's the other remarkable thing about this engine. It kind of looks after you. It's not just the engine, I know that, but like if you compare it to the Tuono, which is an amazing engine, but when you go from that to this, what you realise about the Tuono is it's a bit peaky, right? It's got this initial throttle feel that's awesome, makes it so fun to ride, and then it kind of bottoms out and then peaks again, and then so the torque curve is a bit wobbly, and depending on what gear you're in, how leaned over you are, speed, etc., it can surprise you. It can surprise you, and whereas this is quite a consistent feeling engine to me. As I'm getting to know it more, I'm getting more confident with it, and I'm more inclined to trust what's going to happen when the throttle is applied. The modes do give a different personality, as do the power settings, so you've got to get to know those and try them all. You know, that's where this engine's got multiple personalities. It's got in wet mode, I mean, you can wring the crap out of it like a BMW S1000R. If you want a BMW S1000R for a day, just put this in wet mode, and that's what you've got. It performs very similarly, very similarly. It really does. You can ride wide open throttle and wring the thing's neck all day long, and feel easy doing it. Feel, you know, relaxed doing it. If you want a Tuono, put it in sport mode. You know, and then if you want the Ducati, put it into race mode. If you want the KTM, put it into race mode and then go full power. You don't quite get the KTM bottom end. No bike on the planet gives you that. And frankly, freeway riding, that'd drive me nuts. But this bike can do it all, pretty much. I do think the Aprilia is an advanced rider bike because of its handling profile. You got to wrestle the crap out of that. Slow turning, heavy moving left and right. I think the KTM is also an advanced level rider bike purely because of the bottom end grump. I mean, you get yourself in all sorts of trouble with that. I just imagine if it was raining with that thing. Crikey. I think the BMW and the Ducati. The BMW is an intermediate level bike that looks after you, and you're never going to get to crazy revs on the road on that to get yourself in any trouble. And this, I reckon, is intermediate above as well. This looks after you as well. See, this is easy to ride. Oh, there it is. Oh, that feeling of creamery, torquey creaminess. Only this V4 gives you that. So anyway, that's my verdict on the engine. I think this is the best engine of the Super Naked. This is the best engine of any bike I've ever ridden. Ever. Way more character than the big 2.5 litre Triumph engine that I owned, and way more flexibility than that. It's the Multistrada's engine, but better. It's better than the Panigale, the twin, and the V4 that I rode. I don't know, I've got to still to work out what the differences between those two V4s are. It's way more flexible than the KTM. It's better than the BMW. It's the best. Oh, that's what I love, you know, you just want to get into a different lane position, out someone's blind spot. I'm in third, I don't have to think about the throttle, I don't have to think about the gear I'm in. I just basically give it a nudge and I'm out of trouble. That's what I love about this engine. And I'm going to use this bus lane. That is a complex series of mergers and lane changes to negotiate. What's this guy going to do? Again, you know, the quality of the engine on display right there. You know, a number of times in the last 30 seconds I've had to just propel myself forward into space and without thinking about it, without changing gear. And that's why, you know, again, on a commuter basis, maybe that does make it a great commuter bike. Maybe it does. Now, as we cross the Sydney Harbour Bridge this morning, I'm going to play you a track that I wrote one night when I was drunk. I came home, grabbed the acoustic guitar, just started playing, it all just came out. And perhaps in retrospect, it's a track that I should have played on my test ride of the Ducati Streetfighter, because I think it sums up perfectly what that test ride was all about and what was going to happen after the test ride. So without further ado, I present you my latest track from an album yet unreleased, the self-titled Matter of Time, or Me.
It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. You will be mine. It's a matter of time. You will be mine. You will be mine. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. You will be mine. It's a matter of time. You got me one of
337 kilometres completed on my road to 1000. When I can brain tune this thing and give you a definitive before and after. I tell you what, everyone looks at this bike. It gets way more looks than the BMW. Way more. It gets way more looks than anything I've ever ridden. Seriously. And you park it in a cafe and everyone wants to come have a look, have a chat to you. And it's that red. The red is incredible. And the black on the red is way better than the white. I mean, what does Ali think? We saw what Ali thought of the test ride bike. What does he think of my one? My Filipino friend, there he is, the great man. The great man from the Philippines, the motorcycling champion build. Ali, what do you think? It's good, isn't it? What do you think? What do you give it a score out of 10? 10. 10. 10. So this is your best one. I love it. Sounds good too, eh? Oh, he's awesome. He's one of the highlights of my ride, I've got to tell you. Just quietly.
It's a matter of time.
Let's have a look, shall we? Are you on? Yeah, you are. You are. The people in the security office will be watching me going, who is this idiot? Best I keep my helmet on. Here we go.